Luigi Mangione back in court for the sixth day of this evidence hearing. And today, a high-ranking police officer defended his search of Mangione's backpack. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles live outside court in Lower Manhattan with more on what happened today. Darla?
Well, Mike, in December of 2024, there was a national manhunt for the search for the CEO shooter here in Midtown Manhattan. And as we all know, there were photos disseminated by the NYPD nationally and locally. But when it came to the Altoona Police Department actually reaching the NYPD to let them know they may have their guy, it wasn't quite so easy getting in touch with them. The highest-ranking officer present during the arrest of Luigi Mangione at this Pennsylvania McDonald's, Lieutenant Tom Hanley, taking the stand on day 6 of an evidentiary hearing for suspected CEO killer Luigi Mangione. Lieutenant Hanley is the Altoona police officer who jokingly said he'd buy a fellow officer a hoagie if the McDonald's tip panned out, testifying, "Even though it seemed preposterous, I wanted him to give the call due diligence." Today, we learned it took nearly an hour and a half for the small-town police department to reach someone within the NYPD. Hanley first getting through to 911 at 9:37 a.m. saying, "This is Lieutenant Hanley from the Altoona Police Department in Altoona, Pennsylvania. We're acting off a tip from a local business here that we might have the shooter." The dispatch operator sounding perplexed on audio saying, "Which? Excuse me?" Hanley clarifies the UHC shooter, going on to say he matches the photo that your department put out. Photos that Hanley says he was only vaguely familiar with at the time. But after arriving and being briefed, he testified, "We had reasonable suspicion that he had committed a violent crime in another jurisdiction." Nearly 30 minutes passed, during which time Mangione is read his rights, arrested, and a magazine with 9mm bullets and his passport is located during the search of his backpack. Hanley then calls 911 a second time, telling the dispatcher, "I called a little bit ago. It's Lieutenant Hanley from Altoona Police Department in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The reason I called you is because we believe we have the UHC shooter in custody." This dispatcher also confused, saying, "The who?" He says the UHC shooter. At 10:25, Lieutenant Hanley gets the call from an NYPD homicide detective he'd been waiting for. On cross-examination, defense attorneys working to convince the court these actions of Altoona police translate into the murder investigation, asking Hanley, "You sent emails to the NYPD, correct?" He answers correct. "And in those emails, you mentioned there was a notebook with writings, correct?" Hanley responding, "The questions on the writings was pretty much for me to email them to them." And his call to NYC 911 also under scrutiny. "What ball were you trying to get rolling?" Hanley firmly responding, "As I testified before, I knew I would have to get through several layers of 911 callers, people reviewing tips, whatever, until I got to someone with the authority to make decisions at the NYPD." And in testimony this afternoon with another police sergeant here from the Altoona Police Department, defense attorneys questioned the fact that they had cataloged and take photographs of the evidence recovered on Luigi Mangione's person, saying that had nothing to do with the investigation of a fake ID. Again, it was part of the murder investigation, and some of these items should be tossed out. Reporting live in Lower Manhattan, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.